Okay, so hello everyone. This is going to be a pre-market token analysis for my two most loved instruments, being gold and USDJPY. It's the second week of Feb, and we have some major high impact economic events coming in this week. But then, all the events might actually be affected by the US government shutdown that we currently have going on. So gold from the weekly time frame, I have buy side above the previous week's high. Price has been very bullish over the past few months. I'll say that, I'll put it that way. Price is coming off of this demand zone on the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame, from that demand zone, price had swept sell side liquidity, a major sweep of sell side, and we've seen some strong bullish rejection and a strong reaction. Um, So at this point, what I'm expecting is just a bullish continuation since my swing structure on the daily time frame is still bullish. I have this strong swing low down here and I have this weak swing high up here. On the daily time frame, I have buy side above the previous day's high and sell side below the previous day's low. Okay, I'll just check on something on the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, this is the previous week's high and this is the previous week's low. Yeah, yeah. And this high up here is a weak structural high because it did not achieve anything significant. Now on the daily time frame, price is coming off of demand uh, in the discount prices of this bullish swing range that we have right here. Price swept some tons of sell side liquidity. Below we have this low down here and you have this low right here. However, price did not quite mitigate this refined. Okay, it did mitigate the refined point of interest. Yes, it did. So we have a sweep, a mitigation of a refined point of interest, and a strong rejection. So what we could see at this point could be the next bullish move upwards, targeting the weak structural high that you have up here. Yeah. So now after that, I'll just drop down to the 4H. What do you have on the 4H? One, our swing structure shifted bearish. Now, what was the significance of our swing structure on the 4H shifting bearish when you have all that bullish momentum that we've witnessed recently in the markets? Now, remember on the daily time frame, we were playing our swing pullback. So the swing structure on the 4H simply shifted bearish to facilitate that swing pullback. And yeah, we've seen internal shift bullish at this point. So this is a clear signal that now on the 4H, our swing structure, our price is actually in the swing pullback phase. We have a weak internal high up here. So we have this weak internal high. Now our internal is bullish, our swing is bearish. The significance of internal shifting bullish is just to facilitate that swing pullback on the 4H. So price could pull back all the way up here since we have this clean point of interest up here. However, this high on the daily time frame is a weak structural high, and we all know that the higher time frame will always supersede the lower time frame. So there is cause for this point of interest actually failing. What we have right here, the 4H1, you have a bullish change of character, which is a signal that the internal pullback is most likely finished. Remember, after the bullish IBOS, price delivered an internal pullback, and we see price mitigated this point of interest right here and actually had some strong bullish rejection that led to this change of character. So the move that we're now looking to catch is the expansion upwards, targeting buy side above the previous day's high, previous week's high, and potentially targets the weak structural high up there. So we're looking for a point of interest for an entry or potential entry. We have this refined point of interest on the 1H. The only downside to such a point of interest is that it was formed during low volume hours. So and there's tons of low of sell side liquidity resting below it. Okay, so yeah, What is all I see on the 4H? So I want, let me just check on the M15 just to see. Mhm. Now on the M15, I'll actually reset my swing structure to the most recent price action. We all know that the objective of that is to help me manage my expectations with price. Yeah, so we had this bearish breakout structure right here and another one at this point. So above this high, we do have a trend change. So remember, a trend change occurs when you get a breakout structure in the opposite direction. Yeah, so a bearish breakout structure, another bearish breakout structure right there. So the trend change is where we have a break above this high. Remember, that was our strong swing high. So this becomes our mhm, this becomes our new high, this high up there, and this low down here becomes our strong swing low. So however much it's a low formed during low volume hours, it's actually a protected low. And we do have a medium time frame point of interest which is stacked within that higher time frame point of interest on the 1H. So yeah, we do have calls for lower prices, and we also have tons of low resistance sell side resting just above it. You see, we have these all these lows are down here that actually achieved nothing significant in the market, so making that low resistance sell side liquidity. Okay, so yeah, this is my swing range that I'm looking to work with going into the new week, and I'll just build it on from there. Remember, my objective at this point is not to predict whatever is going to happen, but just to have a rough idea of what to expect on the market open. Now, next one is UJ. When you have sell side below the previous week's low, buy side above the previous week's high, we have this week's structural high. Remember, my bias on UJ has been bullish for a very long time, and we have this week's structural high. We do have a sweep of sell side liquidity below these relative equal lows. So the main reason why price was drawn down here was because we had eccentric liquidity below the relative equal lows down there. After taking it out, you can see the rejection up there and the reaction that you've seen. So could be a cause for higher prices, or it could just be a reaction into supply. Okay, into supply on the weekly time frame. Now on the daily time frame, we have buy side above the previous day's high and sell side below the previous day's low. Now coming to the forehead to the daily time frame, you can actually see our swing was bullish at this point, but then it shifted bearish. So um, the narrative now changes on the daily time frame because now we have a protected high and we have a weak low down here. My objective was to deliver price to this refined point of interest. However, price actually decided to make some bullish continuation from here. It could be a reaction just into supply because we do have some weekly point of interest right here, which is a structural zone, which I will also not ignore. Okay, I'll not ignore that point of interest. So above the previous day's high, we have buy side right there, and below the previous day's low, we have sell side. So there's really nothing much. Lately, I've been swinging UJ, and it's actually kind of fun. Down to the 4H. Yeah, this is the swing position that I had on UJ. Delivered 17 hour. Objective was just to deliver price to that higher time frame supply that you see right there, and price actually delivered to the anticipation. So swing structure is bearish. We have this is my swing range. This is my active swing range made of this high and this weak swing low down here. And my internal is bullish to actually facilitate that swing pullback. Price has pulled back all the way to the extreme and mitigated this high time frame point of interest. However, there is cause for higher prices to deliver price to this refined point of interest right there, that higher time frame refined point of interest. So in terms of low resistance inside, I can actually see it right here. Um, for point of interest where price could actually make a continuation from, I don't see any at the moment. I have this one right here. But if you take the last trend to buy, it has been mitigated. However, if you take this last trend to buy right here, you actually notice that it has not been mitigated. So I'm looking for price to either pull back to these two POIs before making the continuation, or making a continuation and doing whatever it wants. Remember, I'm not here to predict what will happen. I'm just preparing myself on what to anticipate going into the new week. Now on UJ, I use a different approach because I'm swinging it, so I never go below the M30 looking for entries and stuff. So my swing structure is actually bullish. This is my strong swing low down here, and this is my weak swing high. Internal is bullish as well. I reset my internal structure to the piece of price action that is relevant to me. Okay, so meaning that this is my current active internal range, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So I have this internal low down here, which is actually an Asian low, a previous session low. So we do have a cause for lower prices. However, it's a protected low because it's a low that actually led to an internal breakout structure, and it was also formed through a sweep. So it is a protected low, yeah. It's a protected low. That's what I'm trying to put across. Price was coming off of this point of interest. I was actually anticipating a bearish shift. However, I don't think it's going to hold at the moment, seeing as to how price actually delivered this bearish change of character. But the bears could not just take control of this market, and price kept on pushing higher. We have this point of interest right here. With UJ, you can never be too aggressive with it because it will always pull back to a higher time frame point of interest. Being aggressive on UJ has actually costed me much until I just learned the hard way not to be aggressive on UJ, as I am on gold. So the approach that I use on gold is not the same approach that I use on UJ. So yeah, this is pretty much it for me. I'll keep on updating you guys on TikTok, Instagram, and in my free Telegram channel. Also, I could consider putting up this video on my YouTube, but YouTube I want it to be for posting trade recaps and all that stuff, not breakdowns and blah blah blah. Nah, so I think it will only go up on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, that's pretty much it. For more insights, trade ideas, trade breakdowns, remember I offer daily trade breakdowns, free trade ideas, and all that stuff that you can look up in my free Telegram channel. If you're interested, just reach out to me or check it out. You can just search for it. Yeah, thank you.